Welcome to Tao Living, the Art of Living podcast with your host, Lou Corletto, where you will be supported to remember that you are the driver and not the vehicle, so that you can walk your life in trust. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to the Tao Living podcast, the Art of Living. Today's episode was inspired by a friend's post who just yesterday. And he tagged me in the post, which is why I saw it. And it brought up so much that I want to unpack this idea right now. I don't want to. I'm going to unpack this idea right now. And I trust it'll serve profoundly. Yeah. So thanks for tuning in and taking a ride with me. So this post, where did that come from? A couple years ago, I was blessed to fulfill one of my beautiful dreams, which was to go to Egypt and see the last standing ancient wonders of the world, right? The Great Pyramids. And I did. Not only did I see them, I got to go into them, into the chambers. I got to see the Sphinx. I got to go down the Nile River. But even on top of that, I got to jump out of a military aircraft at 13,000 feet and skydive, and land right next to the pyramids before we went inside. Just mind-boggling and incredible. And while I was there, I capitalized on the trip and then went scuba diving in the Red Sea, right? Just epic, yummy, yummy, yummy. So when I returned from that trip, I happened to visit my friend, and he saw that I went and said that was on his list, that one day he was going to go. And I was encouraging him like, hey, man, don't make it one day, make it happen, right? Meaning put energy into it. Don't do like I have done too many times in my life, and way too many people do, which is the someday lie and the one day lie. What I mean by that, right? It sounds kind of harsh, the someday, one day lie. Well, because it's a lie. Like somebody open a calendar and show me, where does someday exist on the calendar? Where does one day exist on the calendar? They don't, right? And so that's just our way of lying to ourselves. Like, hey, someday I'm going to do that. One day I'll do that. And we keep putting those things off until game over, not happening. Yeah. And so this initiation happened. The initiation with my friend was, I then gave him an Egyptian note, right? This happens to be a $200 pound note. For those who are watching on YouTube, for those who are listening to the audio, holding an Egyptian 200-pound note, right? So I handed it to him. I said, hey, put this towards making your dream come true. Take it off the someday, one day list and make it come true, right? So that was a couple years ago. To yesterday, the beginning of what I just said, right? The post. So yesterday, he made this post, tagged me in it, and it was this cool little video where he's taking that exact bill that I gave him and kind of revealing written content on a piece of paper as the video goes down. And basically it reveals round trip tickets bought to Cairo, right? So he's going. I'm like, yes, good for him. So proud of him. And then again, the reflection was good for him, and wow, how many people don't do that? And decades ago, before I started cleaning up my stuff, doing the work that I do and now teach, how many times I lied to myself? The someday, one day lie. Man, I ran that one pretty strong. Yeah. Over the last 35 years. Professionally, working in so many different dynamics, how many times I've heard that from other people. So for instance, we used to run humanitarian mission trips around the world, and people, let me know when the next one is. I'll go to the next one, right? I'm coming to the next one. I'll participate in the next one. The next one is a cousin to the someday, one day, right? Remember, I'm not making this wrong. I'm calling us out on it. So we stop doing it to start living full out and quit lying to ourselves. Yeah. That's what the gift of this is for. So again, thanks for tuning in, and I acknowledge you for your courage to take this journey, because I'm going to ask you to do some reflection for your own dance, right? We ran healing retreats with wild dolphins in the Caribbean. As soon as the retreat's over, oh my gosh, I saw the videos, it's incredible. I'm going to your next one, right? 99% of the people that tell me that never show up, right? And again, good intentions. I had them, they have them. And you've heard the adage, the road to hell's paved with good intentions, right? So let's not take that highway down, right? So then let's unpack this. What's up with that, right? And put that note down. So I'd like you to take a moment and really reflect without judgment, guilt, any of that stuff. Review your someday, one day list. Are you writing a book? Like someday I'm going to write that book. One day I'll write that book. I'll lose weight. I'm going to quit that job. I'm going to start that career. I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to ask him out on a date. I'm going to ask her out on a date. I'm going to take that trip that I've always wanted to take. I'm going to go visit that location that I've always wanted to visit, that country. I'm going to learn to speak that language one day, someday. It's never going to happen in that context. Yeah? I'm going to take time to track my family genealogy. And the biggie for a lot of people is one day, someday, I'm going to heal the hurt. Heal the hurt that I carry, right? Heal the hurt that you carry. The pain of regret, right? Maybe it's manifesting in the body. But what is it from? A broken heart, betrayal, like what is the wound? But it's the pain that we carry until we don't carry it anymore, right? But one day and someday I will do that. I'll forgive myself, right? So really take a moment. Obviously, if you're driving and you listen to this on audio, reflect on it, but then commit to sit down and draft it out. Get it outside of you, put it on the paper so we can then transition from someday, one day to, now you're checking them off because you're actually experiencing them instead of in the future, never happening, and then tickets pulled, games up, none of that happens. It just stays on a regret list. Yeah. Cool. Take a breath. Hang with me. So let's unpack that. Why someday? Like when anything pops. Oh, yeah, someday I'll do that. Why someday? Why not? I'm going to schedule that. By next year, that is going to happen. Or 2 years from now, or 6 months from now. The time frame is irrelevant. Unless you're using someday, one day, and then it's really relevant, right? So what takes you out from committing? Here's the next reflection. What takes you out? Is it the fear of disappointment? Like, oh, if I commit to that and then it doesn't turn out the way I want, and so it's safer to not play big and go for it than it is to just pretend I'm gonna never get there, right? The fear of disappointment's an option. But remember, by not doing it, you're already disappointed. So, hey, like you've got that covered. So get into it, right? How about the feeling not worthy? Like I want to go to Egypt or Bali or Kansas City or wherever you want to go, but you haven't gone yet. Why not? Why not? It's really important. Unworthy, right? These are all stories. And quite frankly, they're not true, but they're stories. They're not true in the sense of deep validity of who you are, but remember, anything that you believe is either true or on its way of becoming true because you believe it, period. Like the most common stereotypical stories that we as humans tell ourselves around this process is, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't know how, right? Those are the biggies that pop for people. So let's unpack those, yeah? Let's go with time. Oh, I don't have the time to do whatever that is. Go on the retreat, go to visit somebody, start the business, get healthy. I just don't have time. I'm laughing because I have heard that many times before. I don't have time to get healthy. Ooh, Lordy. Okay. So quite literal, right? Every human being has the same 86,400 seconds in a day, right? So if you do the math, in 24 hours, there's 86,400 seconds. We all have that. So you have the same time. You have access to the same time as the most productive people on the planet that you might read about, hear about. They're like, oh my gosh, how do they do all that? They do it in the same time frame that you have access to. And saying you don't have time is like driving down the highway, meaning you don't have time for yourself, to honor yourself, to nurture yourself, to improve yourself, to grow yourself, whatever the dance is that you're going to do someday, one day. One day I'll learn a new language. That's improving yourself, right? One day I'll heal the hurt. That's improving yourself. But we don't have time for that. It's like driving down the highway and you look down at your gas gauge and it's on empty, right? And you go, I don't have time to stop for gas. Cool, we'll keep driving. You'll be forced to make time, right? So on the I don't have time, the parts like going on a trip, that's just going to be a regret if it's something you wanted to do. But there are other aspects that life will present time, like your health. If you don't take time for your health and you let it drift away, life will present you with a gift of having time to deal with it. You'll be laid up. Been there, done that. I don't have the money, right? That's another biggie for people. I used to run that one, which is what took me out. Well, I don't have money to go on that kind of a trip. That's for other kind of people. We always have money for what we value. I guarantee that I can take anybody listening to this podcast who's saying to me, I don't have the money, and we can look on where you spend it versus where you invest it. And you'll end up with a ton of money if you reallocate it and put it to what's really important versus just expenditures. Yeah, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole right now. But that's I ran it, right? Remember, this is not judgment. This is a call to action. This is a call to let's get honest with ourselves. And here's the cool part, right? And I'm just talking theoretical right now. I'm not unpacking this in a super detailed way yet. We'll see about doing that. What I mean by it is I've been on many amazing trips, absolutely amazing, and I didn't pay for any of them. Meaning, so there's a non-linear way to get there, right? So for instance, when I was growing up and I was washing dishes in restaurants and I'm looking at people do things, go to these trips that I would love to have gone on. But in my linear mind, I'm like, okay, I'm making what, $3.75 an hour washing dishes. That trip alone, let's see, that would take me 7 lifetimes of saving up to be able to make that trip, right? So in my mind, that's not happening. That will never happen. Agreed with that mindset. And in that mindset, those trips didn't happen for me. But when I learned to change my mindset, my thinking, possibilities, abundance versus lack and fear, then all of a sudden miracles started happening. So I've been in all 7, because travel is important to me. So I've been in all 7 continents, over 50 countries, I think 55 now. And I don't say that to brag. I say that as evidence. Prior to that, I never left the States. I didn't leave too far from where I grew up because that was my reality. Yep. I have a new reality now, and you can too. But it starts by getting honest with yourself, right? So don't have time. Not true. I don't have the financial resources. That's not true either. And then the big one that takes people out is, I don't know how. And that's the dreaded, I don't know how. The dreaded hows. First of all, that's how we creatively take ourselves out. Because if I don't know how, then I can't accomplish it. Quite frankly, how's none of your business. How is left up to life, whatever you want to call that. Spirit, God's, whatever your connection to source is. Let the energy that has more resources than you do take care of the hows, the creative process. Yours is to get clear on the why. Why do you want to do this? And then align yourself with those feelings. Yeah. Someday, one day, you've reflected on that list. You're going to learn to take photography courses. You're going to write your book. You're going to write a play. You're going to go attend a play. You're going to travel. You're going to heal a relationship with a good friend or a family member. Well, remember those 86,400 seconds in a day? That's in a day. You don't get them forever. Eventually they run out. And then time runs out on us in this lifetime. Yeah. And that's where the regret part comes in. So There's a beautiful book, and I've shared this many times on the podcast and then in events that I teach, whatnot. This woman, Bronnie Ware, wrote this beautiful book called The 5 Regrets of the Dying. And she was a hospice nurse, and she watched these themes of people making their transition, and they were in order, right? And the number one regret of people that were dying, the number one regret was, I wished I would have lived a life true to myself, not one of what others expected of me. So again, if I'm living a life that I think others want of me, I'm going to have a big someday, one day list, because I'm doing stuff I'm not even aligned with, versus when I'm aligned with what's in my heart's desire, then it's a whole different game, right? The other 4 components are, number 2 is, I wished I hadn't worked so hard. So like, oh, I don't have enough time. Yeah, there's always time. Fast. I talked about that on a few episodes ago during the spring cleaning. Watch how much time is around prepping food and eating. Go on a fast. You'll gain a lot of time, I promise you. Number 3, I wished I had the courage to express my feelings, right? Number 4, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. Number 5, I wished I had let myself be happier. So what takes you out? Why are you running the someday, one day? When will you give yourself permission to commit to it and allow yourself the experience of the joy of those things that are in your heart's desires, right? So as I mentioned, how many times people said to me with events that I hold, oh, I'm going to come to your next one. So I don't even do the dolphin retreats anymore. So people have been telling me that for years. That's over, right? Not that they can't swim with dolphins, but they're not going to do it with me facilitating. And if you would like assistance on removing the someday, one day out of your life and get clear and get committed to a new life flow, then I really support you, one, to handle those things. And if you want support in that, then join us May 18 to 21, 2023 this year. So basically in 8 weeks, the Art of Living Retreat. It is on our retreat property. It's beautiful, 92 plus acres in the foothills of the Cherokee National Forest, so deep in nature, very intimate group of people who are courageous enough to get real themselves and rewrite the script, remove the stuff that's preventing you from accessing all of you to experience your heart's desires in relationship, in health, in wealth, in travel, in life experiences, whatever works for you. I don't know. We will find out though, if you come. But I know it works for me, and I'm blessed to be able to do what I love what I do, and get to choose the people I get to do it with, right? So yeah, the someday lie, the one day lie. I support you. Quit running that script. If you want support, join us. The Art of Living, May 18 to 21. Until next time, abundant blessings. Ciao. Thank you for tuning in to the Tao Living Podcast, The Art of Living. Click the link in the show notes for the complete details for the May 18 to May 21 Art of Living Retreat, or go to my website, loucorletto.com. Under Programs, scroll down to Live Events and choose the Art of Living, Tao Living 4-Day Retreat. Until next time, abundant blessings. Ciao.